Good day. Today we're going to answer a question that many people ask me. What is the difference between participatory action research, or PAR, and participatory action learning and action research, PALAR? It's not that um, different. The aim of all action research, whether it's just called action research, and there are many genres of action research. People like to invent new names for action research, but they all have the same kind of, or critical action research has the same kind of outcomes. They have an epistemological outcome, which just means a knowledge outcome. The aim of all research is to generate theory. An emancipatory outcome, we aim to free people's minds from self-imposed, unhelpful ways of thinking, that perhaps they've been colonized into thinking that they can't do anything, they're helpless, and so on, to change ideas, attitudes, norms, and practices. And the practical outcome, to bring about improvement in a situation, a problem, the thing that you are researching. And all action research should have an educational intent, i.e., as people are working together and researching something they're learning, and also a political intent, meaning that the theory they're generating, what they're finding, the knowledge that they're co-constructing should be used to change policy, not on a macro level always, but even just policies within an organization, a school, a micro setting. If you look here at the basic process of PALAR, of action research, you can see on the left the purple arrows. That is the basic process of all action research. You're identifying a problem, an issue, and you're envisaging some kind of what it's going to look like when the problem is solved. So then you develop a plan of action. I mean, part of the first identifying the problem is gathering data to show it is a problem. You develop a plan of action. You go and collect more data. You implement it, the plan of action. You collect data. You analyze it. You form your conclusions or your theories or your whatever, and then you disseminate or report the results, or you're not satisfied, you're just a theory, and you begin again. So if you look at the purple one there, and then at the PALAR process, that's a process of all AR, PAR included. Look, it fits into the practice one at the bottom of the PALAR. The upper circle of the PALAR is where you work with people, you develop a team, you build relationship, you are determining how you're going to work together. And the main difference there is that you are working in a small action learning group, or you can call it a core project group, where the people together are democratically deciding what are we going to be doing in this research, how is it going to be done, who else are we going to involve, if we need to go outside the group to gather other data, and do we ourselves, need to change anything in ourselves, and our attitudes, do we need to learn anything to be able to do the research, and so on. You negotiate ethics, you set your broad research goals, and then you go into the normal AR cycle. Although in PALAR, it's like a figure 8. That is because it's continual. You don't just do the relationship or the context first and then throw it out the window and carry on with the practice. Each time you meet as a group, you're going through the whole thing again. You're reflecting critically on how are we interacting. Do we need to change anything? Are we still on the right track to reach our vision, and so on? Do we need to bring in an expert to skill us on anything, and so on? So PALAR, what does it mean? Participatory action research. It's a way of working together which helps groups of people to work individually and collectively to improve the practices, their understandings of the practices and the situations in which they live and work. So they're transforming the environment, the situation, they're transforming themselves, they're transforming the organization, the workplace. Action learning is a cyclic learning process which requires collaboration, sharing of ideas, and active engagement of diverse stakeholders to solve the real practical problems through critical conversation and continuous critical reflection. So when you put the two together in PALAR, it makes a difference. Why do we need to do that? Well, if you're just doing PAR, what I've seen happen is that the researcher, the academic researcher, goes and works with participants, but actually just tells them what to do. This is how, and gathers the data themselves by asking them questions, taking it away. And PAR works very well if you have people who are used to voicing out their opinions, to being, participating well. But when in our developing context, that's not always the case. People are used to be just sitting there and being told what to do. So when you form the action learning group, you actually have to work very hard at getting people to feel comfortable to voice their opinions, at valuing them, and so on. And it ensures both participants and the researcher learn, because we also have to learn to change and learn from community. Helps to address power relations, and it also helps the participants to increase their self-esteem, to recognize that what they have has. So I would use, when do we use PAR? When do we use PALAR? I would say a few of my students I've advised to use PAR when I know that they are not very good at facilitating groups. They're very teacher creature, and they're good at telling people what to do. So, or if it's a teacher and a group of younger people, students, power relations will be hard to reduce. So I would just say do PAR, then you don't have to, spend. They take a slightly more directive role. The kids are still participating, but they have a more directive role when it's younger children. When you work PALAR, when you're working with vulnerable groups, so groups are not used to having their voice heard. PALAR, when working with groups of professionals, because once you withdraw, you've got that action learning group going, it then becomes a professional learning community. And PALAR, when working with multi-stakeholder groups, so you can get lots of people in. And I think that's